Nobody tells you this, but the financial system you were raised inside was not designed to make you wealthy. It was designed to make you comfortable enough that you would never question it. And here is what comfortable looks like. You go to work, you get paid, you pay your bills, you put a little away if there's anything left over, you treat yourself because you deserve it. And then the cycle repeats, month after month, year after year. And somewhere in the back of your mind, a quiet voice asks, why does it feel like I am running but not moving? That voice is correct, because the game most people are playing is not a wealth-building game. It is a wealth transfer game. And someone on the other side of every swipe, every subscription, every buy now, pay later button is getting richer while your balance resets to near zero every 30 days. But here's what almost no one tells you. Some of you are already breaking out of that cycle, not because you hit a jackpot, not because you got a massive raise, but because certain habits have quietly taken root in your daily life. Habits that on the surface look completely ordinary, even boring, but underneath they are rerouting money away from the system and toward your future. My name is Steve, and in this video, I am going to show you 7 of those habits. And I want to be direct with you. Most financial content will hand you a motivation speech and call it strategy. That is not what this is. This is a tactical breakdown of exactly why these 7 behaviors work at a mechanical level, what they do to your cash flow, your compounding timeline, and your exposure to the financial traps the modern economy sets specifically for people who are trying to get ahead. If you see yourself in several of these, pay close attention because you may be further along than you think. And if you find this kind of no-nonsense breakdown valuable, subscribe to Invest with Steve right now and drop a comment below as well. Tell me if you are just starting to build these habits or you are already living some of them. I read every single comment and I want to know your story. Now, let's get into it. Habit 1. The habit of paying yourself like a creditor. Here's the financial truth that banks will never advertise. Every creditor you owe money to, your landlord, your car finance company, your phone provider, they all have one thing in common. They get paid first, before you eat, before you invest, before you breathe. Their payment is not optional, but your savings, that's treated like whatever's left over after everything else. And the brutal reality is, there's almost never anything left over. The people who are quietly getting rich have flipped this logic entirely. They've automated a fixed transfer, not a what I can afford this month transfer, a fixed, non-negotiable transfer that leaves their account the moment their salary arrives. Not after rent, not after groceries, before all of it. This is not a new concept, but the reason most people don't do it is psychological, not logistical. Paying yourself first feels uncomfortable because it triggers scarcity anxiety. Your brain sees the lower number in your current account and it panics. It says, I can't afford this. But what it's actually saying is, I am not used to this. The people who have trained their brain to operate on the post-transfer number, they don't see the savings as money they lost. They see the current account balance as their actual budget. That mental shift alone restructures how they spend for the rest of the month. And here's where it compounds, literally. Every month that transfer happens, that money begins generating returns. Not huge returns at first, but money sitting in a high-yield savings account or index fund is making decisions for you while you sleep. That's the beginning of money working for you, instead of evaporating from you. If you are already doing this, even if the amount feels small, that habit alone puts you in a category that the majority of the population has never entered. Habit 2. The habit of never financing depreciation. This one is quiet and it's expensive. There's a specific wealth trap built into modern consumer culture and it preys on people who earn decent money but can't seem to hold on to it. It's called financing depreciation, and it looks like this. You take out a loan or use credit to buy something that's worth less the moment you own it. A car, a new phone on a payment plan, a furniture set on 0% interest for 12 months. The banks love this product. They love it because they figured out that people will agree to almost any monthly payment as long as the number sounds small. $47 a month, $89 a month. Nobody asks what the total cost is. Nobody maps out what that item will be worth in 3 years versus what they will have paid by then. The people who are quietly building wealth have developed an allergy to this structure. Not because they're cheap, because they understand the math. When you finance something that goes down in value, you're paying a premium. interest, fees, convenience charges on something that's simultaneously losing value. You're getting poorer from two directions at once. The wealthy don't finance things that go down in value. They finance things that go up. Real estate, business assets, investments that generate returns exceeding the cost of borrowing. That's a completely different financial structure. So if you've reached the point where you pause before financing something and ask, is this going up in value or down in value? That pause is a wealth-building reflex, and it's worth more than most people realize. Habit 3. The habit of widening the gap. Every wealth-building framework, regardless of how complex it gets, eventually comes back to one thing: the gap. The distance between what you earn and what you spend. That gap is not just savings, it is ammunition. It is the raw material that gets converted into investments, emergency capital, business seed money, and eventually, passive income that starts closing the loop on financial dependence. Here is the uncomfortable truth about the gap. Most people earn more over their lifetime, but the gap never grows because every income increase gets absorbed by lifestyle. A raise becomes a nicer car payment. A promotion becomes a larger apartment. A bonus becomes a holiday. And 10 years later, despite earning significantly more, the gap is the same size or smaller. The people who are quietly getting rich are doing something that looks almost strange from the outside. When their income goes up, their visible lifestyle barely moves. They might eat out a little more, they might upgrade one thing, but the majority of the income increase goes directly into the gap, into investments, into assets. This is not punishment, this is not deprivation. This is the most intentional, highest leverage financial decision a person can make, because the gap invested in your 30s produces compounding that your 60s self will feel as freedom, not regret. If you are already holding your lifestyle while quietly increasing what you invest, that discipline is one of the most powerful engines of long-term wealth that exists, even if it looks like nothing from the outside. Habit 4. The habit of treating your income like a portfolio. Most people have one income stream, and they are acutely aware, even if they never say it out loud, of how dangerous that is. One job, one income, one point of failure. The people who are getting rich are thinking differently about this. Not all of them have built a second income yet, but they are thinking in terms of income architecture. They are asking, if this one stream dries up, what else do I have? And then they are slowly, quietly building the answer. This does not mean starting a business overnight. It does not mean becoming a content creator or a trader or flipping properties on the weekend. For some people, the first step is simply buying dividend-paying index funds. Every month, that portfolio throws off a small amount of income. Not life-changing yet, but it exists, it's real, and it grows. For others, it's a small freelance skill monetized for a few $100s a month, or a side asset that generates rental income. The specific form matters less than the mindset behind it. The mindset is this: no single source of money has any obligation to stay available forever. Layoffs happen. Industries collapse. Skills become obsolete. The people who treat their income like a portfolio, diversifying, building, protecting, are the people who have options when the economy shifts. And the modern economy shifts constantly. If you have started even one small step toward a second income stream, even if it's not producing much yet, that orientation alone is a signal. It means you have stopped thinking like an employee and started thinking like an asset builder. That shift precedes every real wealth story. Habit 5. The habit of consuming financial information differently. There's a specific way that people who stay financially stuck consume information. They read headlines, they watch reaction videos, they chase whatever topic is trending. Crypto one month, real estate the next, AI stocks the month after that. They absorb surface-level takes from people whose incentive is engagement, not accuracy, and they stay exactly where they are. The people who are quietly getting rich consume differently. They go deeper. They read the actual source, the balance sheet, not the summary, the central bank report, not the tweet about it, the actual terms of the financial product, not the advertisement for it. This sounds minor, It's not minor, because financial literacy is not just about knowing concepts, it's about being resistant to manipulation, and the modern financial landscape is full of beautifully designed products that are terrible for you, marketed with language that makes them sound like opportunities: 0% interest, cashback rewards, investment guarantees. Every one of those phrases has fine print that tells a different story. The people who read the fine print don't get trapped by the headline. If you have already developed the habit of slowing down before financial decisions, looking past the marketing, reading the terms, checking the math yourself, that's a form of financial self-defense that protects your wealth as powerfully as anything you can build. Habit 6. The habit of making small decisions like large ones. Here's a principle that sounds simple and is routinely underestimated. Small decisions repeated daily produce the same kind of compounding that money does. The problem is that small decisions feel negligible in the moment. $11 for a subscription you forgot about. $120 a month in food delivery fees because you were tired. $40 on an impulse buy. None of it feels like a decision that matters. But map it out. $11 a month for 12 months is $132. Multiplied across 4 or 5 forgotten subscriptions, that's close to $1,000 a year leaving your account silently. Not in one dramatic moment, in tiny, invisible increments. The people who are getting rich have developed a recurring review habit, not obsessively, not with anxiety, but with regularity. Once a month, they look at where the money actually went, and then they ask one question. Does this purchase represent a version of my life I'm intentionally choosing, or did this just happen to me? That question alone changes behavior, because most overspending is not greedy or irresponsible. It's unconscious. It's autopilot. The credit card handles it. The app charges it. The bank processes it. And you never see it because you never looked. The moment you start looking, with curiosity, not guilt, you start reclaiming capital you didn't know you were losing. And that reclaimed capital, redirected into investments, starts doing the work that the subscription fees never could. Habit 7. The habit of protecting your most valuable financial asset. Most people think their most valuable financial asset is their salary, or their savings, or their property. It is not. It is their earning capacity. The combination of skills, health, focus, and reputation that generates every dollar they will ever make. And it is largely unprotected. The people who are quietly building wealth have made a habit of investing in this asset consistently. Not expensively, not dramatically, but consistently. They read, they upskill, they take the course, they make the connection. They protect their physical and mental health because they understand that burnout is not just personal suffering, it is a financial event. A person running at 60% capacity is producing 60% of their potential income. Over a career, that gap is enormous. They also understand reputation as a financial asset. How you show up in professional environments, how you handle commitments, how you treat people who cannot do anything for you right now, all of it feeds back into opportunity. And opportunity is the raw material of income. This habit is invisible from the outside. Nobody sees the book you read at 6 in the morning. Nobody notices the skill you quietly developed over 8 months. But the financial results of those investments accumulate in ways that compound as powerfully as any index fund. If you are investing in your own capability consistently, even in small ways, that habit separates people who build real wealth from people who stay dependent on one fixed income stream forever. Here is what I want you to hold on to after this video. Wealth is not a single dramatic moment. It is not a windfall. It is not a lucky trade. It is not the right opportunity at the right time. Real wealth is the mathematical output of a set of behaviors, repeated consistently, compounding quietly over time. The reason so many people miss their own progress is that progress in this game is almost completely invisible in the early stages. You will now feel rich after your first month of automating savings. You will not feel like an investor after buying your first index fund unit. You will not feel disciplined after saying no to one bad financial decision. But the math does not need you to feel it. The math is running regardless of your emotions.
And the dangerous thing about the modern economy is that it is specifically designed to interrupt those habits. Every advertisement, every upgrade, every treat yourself message, every convenience product is a tiny targeted attack on the gap between what you earn and what you keep. The people who understand this do not feel deprived when they resist it. They feel clear, because they know exactly what they are doing and exactly why. They are not sacrificing, they are building. So audit your habits against these 7, not to shame yourself for the ones you're missing, to recognize the ones you already have, because those are the foundations of a financial life that works for you instead of against you. And then, quietly, without announcing it, keep going. The market does not care about your intentions. It rewards your behavior. Make yours deliberate. If this hit different, subscribe to Invest with Steve, and I'll see you in the next one.